Hi, welcome to Fayetteville Public Library's Preschool Story Time. I'm Allison, and we are going to take a trip to the farm today and read some stories about some very silly farm animals. And then I have a fun and easy farm related craft to show you at the end. Let's get started. The first book I'm going to share is called The Cow Who Wouldn't Come Down. Miss Rosemary knew Gertrude had a mind of her own. Even so, the day that Gertrude took to flying, it put Miss Rosemary in something of a tizzy. This won't do. It just won't do, she fussed and stewed. There was no telling what people would say. Besides, Miss Rosemary hadn't the slightest notion of how to milk a flying cow. You see the cow's hooves up there in the window? Miss Rosemary marched out into the yard. She called sternly, "Gertrude, you will kindly come down this very instant. It's a known fact cows do not fly." Gertrude cut figure eights in the sky, pretty as you please, and completely ignored Miss Rosemary. Miss Rosemary tried again. "Gertrude? Oh, Gertrude, it's time to come down now. Here's a fresh bale of sweet alfalfa. You love alfalfa." Gertrude took a nosedive, caught an updraft, and sailed into a lazy glide. She did not, however, come down. She's stubborn. Poor Miss Rosemary. It was plain to see she was getting nowhere. She pulled her chin and knitted her brow. Somehow she must bring that silly contrary cow down. Miss Rosemary hurried to the shed and sorted through her fishing gear. She chose a sturdy rod and returned to the yard. When Miss Gertrude made an especially low swoop, Miss Rosemary drew back and let go. But her fishing line became tangled in some overhead branches, and she missed Gertrude entirely. It didn't get just caught in the branches, it got caught on the back of her dress too, didn't it? And there's Gertrude flying around in the background. Gertrude perched in a tree and tried to sound like a bird. Burp, burp. "Oh, Gertrude, do hush," Miss Rosemary grumbled. "It's a known fact cows don't burp, they moo." Miss Rosemary had another idea. She found a long rope, made a lasso, and climbed the attic stairs. She crouched by the window, breathless, and waited. Finally Gertrude whizzed by, and Miss Rosemary hurled the lasso. All she captured was a nooseful of air. "Gertrude, you are the limit," she fumed, and stomped her feet. Miss Rosemary was not about to give up, however. She climbed very cautiously out the window and onto the roof. Inch by inch she crawled upward. She planned to sit at the top and wait. Sooner or later Gertrude would fly by again, and then she'd grab a hold of Gertrude's tail. Whoops! But just as she neared the crest of the roof, Miss Rosemary felt herself slipping. She grabbed for the chimney but missed it. Down, down, down she slid, and when she hit the gutter, Miss Rosemary bounced. Whoosh! Her dress billowed like a parachute as she sailed through the air and landed in a mass of trumpet vine. "That crack-brained cow will put me in an early grave," Miss Rosemary moaned as she untangled herself. Whoops! Getting a good look at her bloomers, covered in ducks. Poor Rosemary. Miss Rosemary hobbled to the front porch and sat in her rocking chair. That was her best thinking place. She crossed her arms, set her jaw, and rocked. And thought. She rocked and thought without stopping for lunch. She rocked and thought without speaking to the postman. She rocked and thought without answering the phone. Gertrude, for her part, did not come down. Not once. That evening when the sun turned red and the hills turned blue, Miss Rosemary finally had the answer. Wearing a crafty little grin, she rose from her chair and went to the barn. There she got a bucket of paint, a brush, and a large piece of plywood. She made a sign. What do you imagine it says? "Help wanted. Full-time cow. Experience desirable. Apply in person." Miss Rosemary put the sign on her front gate. She stole an upward glance at Gertrude, who pretended not to be curious. Then Miss Rosemary went to the attic. She dug around until she found two pairs of old roller skates. She took these to her sewing room, and next she emptied all her boxes of fabric pieces and made a huge pile in the middle of the floor. She went through the mound and selected just the right scraps and squares. The rest, she decided, would do for stuffing. Miss Rosemary sat down and began to sew. She worked all through the night. Her sewing machine never stopped humming. What is she up to? Just as the sun cleared the hilltops out of the house, Miss Rosemary came, followed by Matilda. Look at that, a fake cow. That's why she needed the two pairs of roller skates. Look at the goose and the pig. Miss Rosemary pulled Matilda to the barnyard, right up to Gertrude's feeding bin, which was right beside Gertrude's salt lick, which was right across from Gertrude's watering trough. Do you think Gertrude's going to like all of that? Miss Rosemary took the bucket of paint and the brush, and she changed the sign on the front gate. She put a big X through the help wanted part, and then she added some new words. The sign now said, "No cows needed. Position filled." Miss Rosemary went back to Matilda and gave her a pat on the nose. "What a perfect cow," she said, a bit louder than necessary. Look at Gertrude's face. Is she jealous? She is indeed, I believe. With that, Miss Rosemary went inside, fixed herself a hearty plate of scrambled eggs and toast, and sat down to eat by the window. Gertrude circled above Matilda, slowly coming closer and closer. Around and around she flew, until finally she made a sudden zoom for the clouds. Straight up she climbed. Way up she climbed. There she goes. Wonder what she's doing now. Gertrude came down like a rocket. Stunk! She landed squarely on Matilda and mashed her flat. Miss Rosemary smiled and finished her scrambled eggs. Later, Gertrude returned to munching grass and swishing her tail as cows are supposed to do. Miss Rosemary was relieved, but she couldn't help thinking it seemed Gertrude was spending a lot of time around the farm machinery. "Silly me," Miss Rosemary clucked. "It's a known fact cows don't drive tractors." "Oh, yeah," says Gertrude. "Sure they do." How do you think she's going to get her off the tractor? Oh my goodness. Gertrude's got a lot of spunk. I like her. All right, the second book I'm going to read to you about farm animals is Lazy Daisy and Cranky Frankie. This is my cow. She's called Daisy. She should eat grass, but she is too lazy. Instead, she eats jelly, spoon after spoon, all through the morning till late afternoon. Looks a little reddish, so maybe it's strawberry jelly, you think? This is my pig. She's called Nancy. She should like mud, but she's too fancy. Instead, she stares at her reflection. My, oh my, you are perfection. This is my chicken. She's called Lizzie. She should lay eggs, but she's too busy. Too busy doing what, I wonder? Instead, she dances through the air in her purple underwear. Oh my goodness. That's just about the silliest. This is my dog. He's called Frankie. He should chase sheep, but he's too cranky. He does look cranky, doesn't he? Instead, he slumps watching TV, demanding cake and cups of tea. This is my farm. It might not look good. None of the animals do what they should. Look at everything going on in that picture. See the kitty cat doing a handstand on a horse? And there's a little pigeon on a skateboard and a sheep on skates. For at night there's no mooing or barking or oinking or cheeping. At least my animals are good at sleeping, including that chicken in purple underwear. The end. All right. This is a super fun and super cute, easy craft for you to do. And I bet you have everything you need right there at your house. You're going to make your very own little barnyard. You can just take a piece of cardboard that has a lip around it. This was just an insert in a bigger box of food of some sort. I can't remember what it was. I just painted the inside green for the grass, and then I cut popsicle sticks in half and glued them inside the lip of the little box to make the fence. If you don't have popsicle sticks at home, you can use twigs from the yard. They'd work just perfectly. And then you're going to take pieces of paper towel tubes or toilet paper tubes. You're going to cut them down just a little bit, and you're going to make your barnyard animals. Here's a little horsey. You can see the mane I drew on the back. Here. And I made a little cow with the black and white, the black spots, and a little piggy. There we go. And you can see the little curly tail on the back. And they all fit inside the little barnyard. And you can make all different kinds of animals to go in your barnyard. You can even make a chicken in purple underwear. But you can move it, don't glue them down. You can move them around and play with them. And to make the tops so that they look like they have ears, you simply just push the top of the tube in just like that, and it creates those points. I just painted them first, used a little bit of white for the cow, brown for the horse, and pink for the pig. And then I used magic markers to draw in the details, like the spots and the mane and all that. And if you don't have googly eyes, you can use buttons or you can draw or paint the eyes onto your little barnyard animals. Isn't that adorable though? Yeah, little miniature barnyard. Very easy to do. Have fun with this. And thanks so much for joining me today. And I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.